question is, do you accept X insurance? And I hear constantly, well, we do, but we're out of network. And that but that you just threw in there just took the entire thing away. We do, but now the patient's gone.
The average dental office will miss about 50 plus opportunities per month because they didn't answer the phone or they didn't answer the question properly.
And what it comes down to is your self-confidence, your confidence and your competence, and that you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and that you're being truthful and honest.
This is Dental All Stars, where we bring you the best in dentistry on marketing, management, and training.
Welcome to Dental All Stars. I'm Alex Nottingham, founder and CEO of All-Star Dental Academy. And with me is Shelly VanEpps, the COO, Chief Operating Officer, and Executive Coach at All-Star Dental Academy. And our topic is the insurance question. Please welcome Shelly VanEpps.
Thank you for having me.
So we're talking about the insurance question. I'm sure we've done this before and we're going to do it again because it's so important. Repetition is the mother of skill. The insurance question is a big question that comes up specifically often on phone calls, right? It may come up in the office as well. And our VP of training, co-founder of All-Star Dental Academy, Heather Nottingham, who also is a phone instructor and did the course for our online program, talks about the insurance question as one of the big questions that come up. And so, yeah, let's unpack it a little bit and kind of tell me about the problem a little bit, about why this happens, why it's important. Also, I might note as well in your talk about how we do a lot of work of helping offices become less dependent on insurance. Regardless whether you take insurance or not, you're going to get this question. So Shelly, executive coach, help me out here.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this in particular, it comes up on so many coaching calls, and team members are constantly challenged with how do I respond? And they want to be transparent, but also it's really important that we make sure not to put up blockages because honestly, our patients don't necessarily know what else to ask. And so we want to make sure to bring the barriers down while still being honest and open with our patients, because the last thing you want to do is have somebody show up, find out you in fact are potentially out of network, and then them get angry with you in the office, turn around, walk out, not keep their appointment. You have lost opportunity for other patients, and all of the things snowball. And those are legitimate concerns from team members. And so we work really hard on our verbiage, and we make sure we don't necessarily script a whole lot here at All Star, but there are certain things that you want to say and things that you want to avoid. And that will help with streamlining that concept and that whole process when you're speaking with your patients. The Great Call process helps to be able to walk through that and take that initial question and say, okay, build a relationship with this person first and then answer their question. You don't want to completely avoid it, but you definitely want to address it at some point in that call, just maybe not the very first thing. So that's why it comes up.
And I think it always helps to identify why this is important and what happens when you do it wrong and what you hear what they're doing wrong. And we can talk about how to do it right, because I think so few dentists and offices realize the importance of phone skills or the costs of what's happening when we're not doing it right. So I think most dentists understand, yes, it's important we answer the phone. Yes, we get it. I think in theory, but they don't know the impact that it's really having. They don't understand that. I mean, look, those that are listening to this podcast are not the ones that are like, oh, be rude to people, because you do have offices you call and they're rude. Heather called one the other day and they're like, dental office, or hello? And like, hello? Like, is this the office? Did I call? So I hope that's not you that's listening. If not, listen more. But you have this issue where there's a big cost when we're not converting patients. And we often pay the front office the least, yet if they don't convert patients to appointments or potential patients to appointments, then we don't have a practice, right? And it's very expensive. the average dental office will miss about 50 plus opportunities per month because they didn't answer the phone or they didn't answer the question properly. And if each potential patient is $400 to $500 to $600 for the first year value, if not more, depending if you're a specialist or cosmetic. And then there's multiples every year and then referrals every year from that. So you miss one patient per working day per month. You're looking at, gosh, like, I don't know we could do some of the math here, but we're talking $10,000,
Add it up.
$20,000 a month, right? And then the lifetime value of the potential referrals and patient opportunities is $100,000 from that 1 month from that
Mhm.
of what you did, and you track that over the years. It's millions and millions of dollars that you're losing. And so I have a webinar. If you go to allstardentalacademy.com and you can click watch the webinar, it's free, but I do the exact math for you for phone calls and broken appointments. But I think I wanted to really reiterate that the insurance question is one of those questions. What do you charge
Yeah.
for X? What do you take my insurance? And if you don't answer this correctly, then you just miss out on a lot of opportunities. And I will say this, things that we don't do, and you may talk about that, we don't lie and we don't manipulate. We're going to tell the truth, but you have to follow a process with
Mhm.
respect to that, because very few people even realize that if you're at a network, that we can still work with you. So I think that's
Absolutely.
very important to hear is the cost. So tell me so you see the expense of it. What are they saying and why is it wrong that you hear?
So that's the perfect question because that's exactly what I'm hearing. I'll get on and I'll listen to certain calls or talk with the teams. And the question is, do you accept X insurance? And I hear constantly, well, we do, but we're out of network. And that but that you just threw in there just took the entire thing away. We do, but now the patient's gone. And not to mention they're jumping straight in and answering that question without finding out who are they speaking with, building any bit of rapport. It's just an instantaneous answer. A lot of times that comes out of approval addiction and wanting to make sure to be upfront with our patient and not tell them something that's not true. So we encourage follow the great call process. So thank you so much for calling. My name is Shelly. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? Using a transition and starting to build some rapport with that person first has to happen. You have to take them away from that initial question to start with and then circle back to it after you've had that opportunity to build some rapport.
What do you mean by
Yes.
approval addiction?
Great
For those who
question.
don't know what that is.
Yes. So this is something that gets in our way in a lot of different it shows up differently for every person, but it's ultimately the fear of failure, fear of upsetting somebody else, fear of not doing something properly. There's a whole list of different symptoms that will show up. And when it comes down to is your confidence and your competence, and that you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and that you're being truthful and honest. And so they don't want to have that potential conflict and therefore just give the answer immediately so that they don't end up with a patient who potentially is upset with them.
Sure. And I think that can show up I saw this, and Robin, our director of hiring, who we just spoke to earlier, has done a podcast on quiet quitting, right?
Mm,
Where there are also some employees that just don't want to be there and are doing to do the minimum to kind of get by. That's why we have a hiring service to help with replacing those roles. But so there's a lot of psychological factors. But before we even get to the content of how to do it, there's a lot of
right.
psychological factors. Again, approval addiction, also being taught when somebody asks you a question, you answer them right away. Also
Mhm,
answering the question because you're afraid of having to go into it. Also competency, like you said, if I don't know how to handle things, if I just say we don't take your insurance, or we kind of do, but we're afraid of them to start interacting with us
mhm,
because we may not know how to answer their question. We may not
exactly.
be prepared. So it's a lot easier just to stop the question to begin with, because again, doctors that are listening and practice owners, the team, they want to support their position. They don't want to suffer, right? Get yelled at or upset. They want to feel somewhat confident in what they do. They don't want to be sad in their role. And when they're having to have fights or arguments with patients because they're not trained, then that's not fun. So we just answer the question, move on. Next, it's robotic. I do it, I do my paycheck, and I go home. Done. I don't think we
Exactly.
want that. I think our
No.
goal as a business owner is we want an outcome. We want to take care of great people and make them very happy and so on. But it doesn't happen naturally. You have to train. You have to
Mhm.
not only, Shelly's going to share with you a few tricks in a moment for those who are listening, but that's not enough. You have to be doing this over and over and over. We believe 20 minutes a week is enough even for your entire team, but can you do that week after week? Can you role play? Can you stay the course with that? Because you're going to hear what we're going to say. This is brilliant. And then you'll try it, you'll see some success, and you'll stop doing it.
Yeah. It's funny because when I'm coaching and I'll say, just say it like this, and I'll say something, they're like, wait, can you say that again? And I'm like, no, I can't. I say it a little bit differently every
At a time.
time because it's genuine. And if you understand the concept and the process behind it and what you're attempting to do, build relationship. It needs to come first. However, you get there, use a transition statement that feels right for you in taking them from their initial question over to getting to know them. And then you transition into the engage part or getting to the meat of the questions
So,
and getting
so
their appointment scheduled.
you're talking about some really good stuff here. This we have other videos on in our podcast. You can look it up. We did a whole call with Heather on the great call process, on the transition statement. If you search in Google or YouTube or on our website, you can find those. Also, if you're a member or you become a member, we have that all laid out in our program. So you're talking about the great call process, which I'll ask you to describe in a moment.
Yes.
And then there's a specific portion in the great call that we teach. So it's not just the acronym. We spend 10 hours unpacking all the detail, so you get better and better at it. But one area is a transition statement where the patient's coming in hot. They want to know, what do you charge? Do you take my insurance? And what you want to do is disarm them in a nice way so that you can start to begin the great call process to get to know them. And then you will answer their question in your context, right?
Correct.
So that you're not being kind of framed. And typically, if you're not prepared and somebody asks you a question, then you're kind of stuck. And that's where a lot of people are at, or you're not trained well because there's also different personality types. I want to overwhelm you, but it's not just a question. Some people like me, I'm a D, give me the answer. And if you
Right.
take too long, I'm going to start pressing hard. Others want all the details. Others want you to be your friend. And so what we do we have I'll ask you later about our case acceptance course, but it's also about making sure that we're adapting personality wise to people as
Mhm.
well to be able to do that. So I guess for those that are listening, I don't want to
Yeah.
overwhelm you. I just want to remind you that this is not going to happen overnight. It's a process, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. So Shelly, tell me that they're coming in hot. I want to know, do you take my insurance? I have Delta. And then,
No, we don't. You
oh,
don't say
there we
that.
go. End of the
You
podcast.
don't
Thanks
say
for joining
that,
us.
right?
Until next time. Um, all right. So you don't say that. What do you do with respect to that? And maybe even let's do this. I don't know. I'm in the mood for it. Let's do a role play. I'll be the patient.
Oh
And
boy.
I'm gonna be a very good patient. I'll be very cooperative. But
Okay.
we're gonna
Thank
pause at each step, and I just want you. I'm not gonna do the entire call, but especially the beginning, the transition, and I want you to identify what you did.
Okay.
So I call, bring.
Thank you for calling Nottingham Dentistry. This is Shelly. How may I help you?
Oh, that has a very nice ring to it. Nottingham
You
Dentistry
like
sounds
that?
very familiar. Yes.
Just
Uh,
made it up. I work
oh,
there now.
oh, Shelly, that's a very nice name. I had a friend named Shelly. Anyways, and she used her name, which was good. She introduced her name. That was very good. What do you charge? I have Delta Dental, and do you take my insurance?
Thank you so much for calling. Again, my name is Shelly. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Oh, asking my name. My name is Alex.
Hi, Alex. I would be more than happy to help you with that. In order for me to best assist you, is it okay with you if I ask some questions?
Yeah, that was great. And so now that was a transition statement, and you can ask it in many ways. And there she disarmed me. I wanted to go right after the question, and she says, "Can I ask you some questions to better assist you?" Who doesn't want to be better assisted, right?
Right.
And so now that's the transition statement. We did a whole podcast on that, but that is where we're able to shift now into the verbiage of the great call process. So tell me
Yes.
about then with the great call process, what would you then do with the patient throughout there with this?
Build some more rapport with them, find out more about what prompted them to call today, because there are different things that people will call for. They might not actually only be concerned about the fact that they have insurance. They may have a broken tooth, they just moved to the area. You'll learn referral sources. You'll learn so many different things about this person that's going to be able to help you to connect with this particular patient so that you can better assist them. People trust when there's a relationship built. I like to use a scenario. If you're walking down the street, Alex, and you see somebody on the sidewalk and they say, "Hey, sir, would you like a piece of gum? Are you likely to take that gum?"
No.
Okay. So you sit down at a table with somebody, with a friend of a friend, you have just a little bit of rapport building, and they say, "Hey, would you like a piece of gum? Are you more likely to take it?"
As long as they weren't chewing it, probably.
Okay. Fresh gum, fresh gum.
Yeah, then
You're
I
gonna
will.
be more likely to take
More
it.
likely.
You sit down with me and one of my
Oh,
friends,
I
you
will
be
absolutely,
more likely to take it, right?
I will
You
absolutely take it because otherwise I will feel left out and whatever. I'll take it.
Exactly. So you have a little bit more rapport.
That's
The
right.
more strong that rapport
Mhm.
becomes, the
That's right.
more likely you're able to trust them that what that gum has is not they haven't stepped on it in the ground and like ground it
That's
down or
really a
have
nice
something
analogy.
breaking
The
in it.
first time that's a really nice analogy.
I
I like
mean,
that.
you're going to be more willing
Yeah.
to take what it is that they're offering. That's what we're doing in dentistry. We have to have a relationship so that we can build trust with our patient. They trust us because they know us. We know them, they know us. And therefore, when we're sharing with them these conditions and what might be going on, they're more likely to listen and take action. We have inherited knowledge from us, not knowledge, inherited assumption that they're going to trust us because it's DDS. We're the
Right.
doctor, right?
Correct.
But the more that they have relationship with your team as well as you, that is going to be stronger and stronger. Um, so ultimately, starting off with that phone call with that relationship building is really important. And then making sure that the team is passing that on to the team so that the patient isn't repeating it is just as crucial as actually building the relationship to begin with.
And that's
Has
where
to happen.
people say, "Give me the script." And
Yeah.
we like to give you verbiage, but what's more important is where are you coming from? So what you just saw, this was, and this is probably the most important step of the insurance question is uh, transitioning them, number one, away
Mhm.
from what they're trying to do right off the bat so you can get to know them. And two, building rapport. Once they know you, like you, respect you, and you understand where they're coming from, then you can answer their question and put it in
Right.
perspective, whether you're at a network, whether you're in network, however the process goes. But essentially, and we'll kind of conclude with a few verbiage tips. But the point is it's where you're coming from, that you are that you want it. And here's the thing, you have to want what you're hearing us do. You have to like really believe in your product. Not just a dentist, but the team has to believe in you. And that's why it's so important that we believe to pour into the team and make those investments, that they feel it's like their practice, and that they want to serve that patient and take care of them. Because when you understand that if you're at a network, that you can still get most, if not all, the benefits from the patient's insurance company. And every office is different in how they do it and so on. But in every state, and different insurance companies work differently. So there has to be different verbiage. It's not one size fits all. But
Right.
if we come from that perspective, we're going to be educated, and that patient goes, "Wow, what a professional. Look at how they treated me. And they're going to take most, if not all, of my benefits. Why wouldn't I go to that place versus the other place?" Because most, most, I guess I would say from our experience, the fee for service, or those that are out of network, tend to be a little bit more higher quality than those that are just pure insurance. And that's also economically, it has to be that way because you can't spend as much time with the patient because you're strapped by the insurance company. And that's not always the case. But my point is if I could get the same experience where the person takes my insurance without any conditions, I'll just go there. But if I call
Mhm.
Shelly's office and I'm treated so warmly, and it's maybe one additional step or whatever, and I still get most of my benefits or even less of my benefits, I may go there,
Yeah.
right?
And I would find that as the person answering the phones, I would have patients say, okay, well, I'm going to call around. And then 15, 20 minutes later, they would call back. You say, I've been having a really hard time finding somebody that actually accepts my insurance. The way that you described it, and the way that you talked about your doctor and your practice, is it okay if I schedule an appointment? And obviously, when we were on the phone, I offered an appointment to begin with. And this is the rarity, or that particular patient who really wants to do their due diligence
Sure.
to attempt to get the most out of their insurance. Completely respect that. But because of building the relationship with that person, they would call back. And even if they didn't schedule, I kept their name. I had their phone number. That was one of the things that you have to make sure you get at the
Wow.
beginning of the call. You call them back and just say, hey, this is Shelly with Nottingham Dentistry. I just wanted to check in on you and make sure you were able to find an office that's going to be able to take care of you.
Wow.
And that's that wow factor. Exactly. That's taking it one step farther for that particular person. And if they're still on the hunt, they're going to schedule when you call them. I challenged an office one day. She said, nope, they went somewhere else. I said, okay, well, on Friday, she had a call on a Wednesday with a patient. We had a coaching call on Thursday. I said, tomorrow, I want you to call that person and check in on them. And she did. And they had gone somewhere else and had a horrible experience. And that patient was so excited that she had called and checked in on them. They said, you know what? I'm sorry that I didn't go with you to begin with. Is it too late? Can I come and see Dr. A? And so they ended up with that patient in their practice because she took that extra step. Does it take more time? Absolutely, it does. But if you're wanting to really set yourself apart and set yourself ahead of some of the others in that realm, you got to do it. It makes a big, big difference in
I
how
love
people
that.
perceive you. And that patient is going to be a patient for life because they went and they experienced something else. And then
Sure.
they found out, wow, this is
And
really
you
truly
care,
what
and
sets
you
this
took it
practice
to
up
another.
high.
I'm sorry.
100%.
You took it to a whole other level. I mean, in calling back, whether they went with the doctor or not, because I think it takes courage, Shelly, to do that. Because what if you call and say, "Oh no, I'm happy where I'm at." You got rejected, but you took that. You still took that step. I think that's amazing, and with respect to that.
And it's a lot easier to do that when you genuinely care about that person. If I've built a relationship with this person, I talk to them for a few minutes, I'm concerned. They have a broken tooth. They have something that they're looking for that they didn't feel we were the right fit at that moment. I genuinely want to make sure that they were taken care of. And if you come from that place, you're not a pushy salesperson like, are you sure you picked the right place? It's, hey, I know that that tooth is bothering you. Were you able to get in somewhere to get that taken care of? Are you feeling more comfortable? Yes, thank you so much for calling. Wonderful. If there's ever anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And that sets with them. They may not come, but this is the other thing. I've also had these patients who did not come into the practice, refer other people.
It's true.
They were like, I couldn't go there because my insurance. I couldn't go there because my insurance, but I know you don't have insurance. This is the office you should go to.
Well, what we saw earlier, we talked about the cost of not converting. There is still a limited amount of opportunities that an office will get. Okay. The average office gets 87 opportunities a month. And for some of those listening, you go, I don't get that many. Maybe you don't. Maybe you get 20.
Mhm.
So we better take every opportunity well as an opportunity. And what you have is you have these limited opportunity phone calls. And in that phone call, whether it's an insurance question, whether it's a price question, we're going to make it a great call. We're going to go through a process and get to know them. And then there's a follow-up process, which is later in the great call process we talk about. And it's not pushy. It's just that we built a relationship and we're going to see it through. And I'm even thinking what you're saying is our goal is to make sure that that patient found a place where they'll be taken care of. And if it's
Yeah.
even not us, it's somebody else, that's great. But we are going to do whatever we can to service that patient. So again, in most cases, if you're at a network, offices can work with you, or you can work with the office just using your verbiage. If you can't, or for whatever reason they go somewhere else, we're still happy that, or to send you this way or that you're taking care of. And they might, like you said, and you've had it before, where they may refer because of that. So if we just, it's like just do the job right, do it well, and in the long run, it takes care uh of itself, right? And I
Yeah.
know as COO, the leader of this company at All Star, right? You're about that. Do it well every time. And I think just from that compound effect, the company grows and you do better. And you also everybody enjoys what they do. So I want to give the listeners some action steps here, or some next
Yep.
steps, right? So I would say for certain, go to allstardentalacademy.com, see the webinar, it's up there. And I'll go into more detail about the great call process. You should also look at some other podcasts and so on. Members as well, it's good to see it again. It's a good webinar. Um, there are there's also some I wanted you to also talk about in terms of action steps as well, in terms of live events, because
Mm.
live events and coaching, just briefly about it, because, and again, it doesn't have to be us at All Star. I know you're going to speak about the 5 steps to an All Star practice in our next event. It's just a philosophy that if you're going to have a great practice and a great life, these are the ways to do it. And it doesn't happen overnight. It
Mhm.
is learning the content, which we're giving you some today, but then it's practicing it and using every opportunity to deepen that process and get better at it. It isn't like you learn how to place a veneer one time and that's it. You're never going to take and continue education again. You're never going to refine it, never going to get better at it. It's the same thing with this type of stuff.
Yeah. So with that, the 5 steps, you always obviously want to be training. You want to make sure that you have somebody holding you accountable. That's the coaching component, and making sure that you have somebody who's checking in on you and making sure to keep pushing that envelope. The John Maxwell has the law of the rubber band, and the law of the rubber band says that if you're not stretching, you're not growing. We're not trying to snap a rubber band here. We're not trying to take you and say, okay, team, we're going to pull that rubber band as tight as we can because it's uncomfortable and you're going to grow and you're going to grow tomorrow. You need to continue to use the atomic habits of stacking your
Mhm.
different skills
Have a stack.
and building on top of one another. And all of a sudden, one of these days, you're going to say, wow, I'm doing the great call process. Wow, I'm doing the case presentation formula. I don't know when it happened. It just all of a sudden is all coming together. And I can say, even listening to some of my own calls, am I a 40 out of 40 on the great call process every single time? I'd love to say yes. I would be a liar. There are times when you get taken out of your game and you're off a little bit. You regrasp, you look at that, you assess it and say, okay, what did I miss? Okay, I'm going to focus in on that next time. And then all of a sudden you're right back in the swing of things. And so continuing to coach yourself even, I guess, and coach, I don't know what I wanna say with
No, I
that.
like, I
Um,
you get so into it.
I
No,
do, I get so
you get
enthusiastic about
no
it.
well you were talking about the importance of coaching, right? And that
Yeah,
and I would kind of give them these steps, right? So you have the content, which is the webinar for those who
yes,
take whatever. Then there's this coaching, and coaching can be a coach, like we have coaches at All Star. There are other companies that have coaches. You could also be coaching yourself and your team, or adopt somebody like so. I look at it like with All Star, you're kind of leasing an in-house coach, but you might have a coach in your office that's full time.
mhm,
Utilize that person to be making sure that you're role playing and practicing that, because coaching works across industries. It's content coaching. Oh, I like that. C. Have another C. 3 C's. Who knows? Good. But then, and then the last step I would say for those that are listening is live events have a really great place, because you get to kind of rub shoulders with other people in the same situation. uh, you attract, or you're looking at different modalities of learning. But it takes great shape when you know the content, when you have some level of coaching, and now you're doing the same thing with other people, and that you create an experience for the team that they'll remember.
mhm,
It's interesting, like if you think about what do you remember when you look back at stuff, it's those novelty situations that occur. And so you're creating novelty and variety and significance in your practice when you bring your team in that category, because the team is always looking used to the doctor in the framework of the office. Now you're outside and you see different components, and then that you see, oh, I see what I'm fighting for. And you get to the heart of it, and that's what then you come back drives the business. So there's a mechanism, and again, I wish we can say it's one line and all of your problems will be solved. The one script, and as you can see, script is not enough. It's got to have a heart, it's got to have a process, and you're going to have to do it over and over again. I wish I could get to the ideal weight that I like or lift a certain amount of weights, and I'm never going to have to do it again. I can eat whatever I want, and I can just lay on the couch all day long and all will be well. It won't. It doesn't work that way. And no matter what you do, it's an ongoing process. So our hope is you enjoy the process, you enjoy the learning, you enjoy the people. So it's not work. Does that make sense?
Very good. Very,
All
very
right.
well said.
Shelly VanEpps, our COO, our executive coach, thank you for bringing this great topic to all of us. And
Thank you.
remember to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Also our website, allstardentalacademy.com. Get the episodes as they are released. Share with your friends. And until next time, go out there, be an all-star.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Dental All Stars. Visit us online at allstardentalacademy.com.